Welcome, everyone, and welcome especially Oliver Bennett and Morgan Watkins from The Base, or The Base Creates in London, two thespians, actors, who shall never play the Dane. No, they have built something quite remarkable, which is a theatre company that bridges the gap between theatre and theory. So they last year put on stage Goethe's Faust, Part One, and had the intellectual and writer and journalist Sebastian Milbank give a response and a talk in Saint Bartholomew, I suppose, in London. And they were kind enough to offer that they will perform in a dramatic reading some significant scenes from Goethe's Faust Part 1. Now, Oliver, feel free, and Morgan, to add a few things on the base creates. We'll link to your websites and everything in the description of this video for everyone. And after you've given us your introduction, we'll start with the prologue in heaven.
We'll go straight into it, yeah. Okay.
But you go
Excellent.
say a few words on the base, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Very, very nice to see all of you. And thank you very much for the invitation from Johannes. And his introduction was pretty spot on, really. So myself and Morgan are actors and writers and dramatic artists. And we, over the last year and a half, have been building this company, partly out of some frustration with the state of the dramatic arts in the UK at the moment. And so we've been delving and drawing inspiration from classics of the Western canon and that might not be performed in the big institutions all the time, and having interesting, sometimes unorthodox speakers give responses to them. So we've done a Greek text, Jean-Paul Sartre's No Exit, Faust, a Russian text, Mayakovsky, a Strindberg, lots and lots of different things. And we've been building momentum like this. We run a podcast where we go talk about other theatre issues or interview interesting people related to theatre. And we run a new writing competition. And so we're just sort of building this big movement of new, exciting, dramatic work that draws on the Western canon. Is there anything you want to add, Morgs?
No, I think that's a great description.
Lovely. And so this is very much like in our territory, overlapping, as Johanna says, mixing theatre and theory, and taking, what inspiration can we get to performance from interesting thinkers like Johannes. So, yeah, should we go with the first scene, which is the
Yeah,
prologue in heaven?
just worth mentioning that I will be playing God in the first scene and then Faust after that.
Yes. And I'll be playing
Or
Mephistopheles.
Lord, sorry, Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the
Mhm.
difference? So I should mention that, Oliver, I met you 5 years ago. You've always been doing interesting work. Or maybe I don't know. It has been published or publicized where that was. I was in attendance when you performed a hero of our time during a certain moment in time. Let's just say the COVID lockdowns in an abandoned gym in the north of London. So, now let's. The prologue in heaven is one of the three preludes of Faust, and should be, I think, read for in terms of in light of both parts. So it doesn't just introduce the first part; it introduces all two parts. And what we witness here is the archangels singing the praise of God's creation, but what they lack, or what they fail to mention, is the crown of creation, the toil and moil of the human being. So we find here a creator God, and Mephistopheles is a helper devil in conversation, but they're almost, maybe they're not friends, but they have a certain respect for each other. And I would suggest that this is a moment where there's certain, of course, Judeo-Christian elements here, but it's at the same time also really a departure from just a normal or Maloyan, perhaps, understanding of Faust, and rather an attempt to bring in elements of beginning modernity. Because to me, when I read this, and we discussed this also on Friday, it's almost as though God or the Lord contracts Mephistopheles to make sure that Faust continues to strive beyond himself as he's about to give up on himself. So I will now turn off my audio and remove myself from the spotlight, and you have the floor, gentlemen, once I've disappeared. Thank you very much.
Since, Lord, you once again are come to ask us how we're getting on, and before have often welcomed me, you see among your servants me as well. I'm sorry, I can't offer high-flown language, not even though all here assembled may deride me. Pathos, for me, in any case, would make you laugh. If you'd not stopped laughing long ago. I've no remarks to make about the sun or planets. I merely see how mankind toils and moils. Earth's little gods still do not change a bit, are just as odd as on their primal day. Their lives would be a little easier if you'd not let them glimpse the light of heaven. They call it reason, but employ it only to be more bestial than any beast. Saving your Grace's presence, to my mind, they're like those crickets with long legs who won't stop flying, though they only hop, and promptly sing the same old song down in the grass again. And if they'd only keep on lying in the grass, they stick their nose into every dirty mess.
Do you have nothing else to tell me? Do you ever come except to criticize? Is nothing ever right for you on earth?
No, Lord. I find things there, as always, downright bad. I am so sorry for mankind's unending miseries that even I am loath to plague the wretches.
Do you know Faust?
The doctor?
And my servant?
Indeed. He serves you in a curious way. The fool is not content with earthly food and drink. Some ferment makes him want what is exotic. Yet he's half conscious of his folly. From heaven he claims as his the brightest stars, and from the earth all of its highest joys. But nothing near and nothing far away can satisfy a heart so deeply agitated.
Though now he only serves me blindly and ineptly, I soon shall lead him into clarity. The gardener knows when the sapling turns green, that blossoms and fruit will brighten future years.
What'll you bet? You'll lose him yet, if you grant me permission to guide him gently along my road.
So long as he is still alive on earth, nothing shall prohibit your so doing. Men err as long as they keep striving.
You have my thanks for that. As for the dead, I never did much care to bother with them. Full, healthy cheeks are what I best prefer. I'm not at home to any corpse, and like the cat, prefer my mouse alive.
So be it. Do as you are minded. Divert this spirit from its primal source, and drag him, if you can keep hold of him, along your downward path, and stand abashed when you must needs admit a good man, in his groping intuition, is well aware of what's his proper course.
Agreed. The business won't take long. As for my bet, I'm not in the least bit worried. When I achieve my purpose, let me beat my breast triumphantly. Dust he shall eat, and greedily, like my celebrated serpent cousin.
When that occurs, again come uninvited. I have no hate for creatures of your kind. Of all the spirits of negation, rogues like you bother me the least. Human activity slackens all too easily, and people soon are prone to rest on any terms. That's why I like to give them the companion who functions as a prod and does a job as devil. But may, true sons of heaven, you delight in beauty's living richness. May the power of growth that works and lives forever encompass you in love's propitious bonds, and may you give the permanence of thought to that which hovers in elusive forms.
I like to see the old man now and then, and take good care to keep on speaking terms. It is quite decent for a mighty lord to chat and be so human with the very devil.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll spotlight myself again briefly. Okay, maybe just briefly tell us now, just this opening scene. I mean, playing God, obviously, that's easy. But no, both of you, what is that like? Going into character and finding a voice for these two rather substantial figures.
So I'm basically copying Tim Faulkner, who's this brilliant older, little older actor who played God. So that's the first time I've ever read that role. So yeah, I was really fascinated by who is initiating this situation, and we were this our discussion on Friday, Johannes, was we were kind of going over like what's going on here, like who's come here, what are they trying to do, what does God want, what does Mephistopheles want? So I was trying to I was exploring that as I went. I was like, what's driving this scene? I found that really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, so I remember it's a weirdly like it is a very fun scene to play, actually, this, particularly as Mephistopheles is very, very fun character, which we can talk more about later. But it's interesting how I was actually bearing in mind how the way you introduced it, Johannes, by saying that they seem to have this quite cordial relationship. They seem to be quite friendly with each other. So I was leaning into that a little bit on that go through, and it might be very obvious, but to people who don't know, who are listening, like that is what you would do in rehearsals. You might try it like that, and then you might think, oh, actually, maybe we should try it where there is quite a lot of hostility between the two of them, and just see how that plays, see what that effect that seems to have. So you'll just spend the time in rehearsals playing around with different intentions, different circumstances of the relationship, but it seemed to feel natural. In this way, where there is this sort of formality and respect between them that seems to like be reflected in the text, and helps the scene. Um, I mean, Mephistopheles is very. I, I find it very interesting the moment when Faust is raised, and I imagine that you've talked about this already. It's like, why is the Lord offering up Faust in that moment? Like, what is that a reaction to? If to me it reads as as a psychological, maybe this is being overly psychological, but to me that reads as God reacting to Mephistopheles denigrating man so much, and holding up Faust as an example of a good person. So, but yes, that's all that occurs to me at the moment.
Yeah, just another thought is it's almost like so it could God Lord is almost like a Bond villain in a chair or something. You know, his back to Mephistopheles as he comes in as he comes in the room, and Mephistopheles babbles on, and I thought, you know, you got anything else? So I've got this idea in my head from the beginning that I have this idea about Faust,
Yeah.
right? This and because the questions that God asks at the beginning are they make you feel like Mephistopheles has started this scene. Like Mephistopheles has come here, and then God's gone, all right, I'll give you something to do. So, but whether God's been already waiting for Mephistopheles to finish that speech before he goes, have you got anything else to say? Is that it? We done? Anything else? Okay, right. Now I can get to the big question, which is Faust. This is my big project at the moment.
Mm,
Yeah. Don't know what
yeah.
comes first.
They sort of both work weirdly. You find that with like a Greek scene or a Shakespeare scene. There's many, many different angles that you can play that will work. That's a sign of quite a rich
Yeah,
text, I think.
yeah.
Mm.
Just briefly, what Mephistopheles or Goethe here then offers is a critique of the Enlightenment. Yeah, is that the light
Yeah.
of heaven,
Yeah.
reason, which was supposed to liberate man and uh, ultimately be an ersatz god, is explicitly referred to as the capacity or the faculty of man by which man steps outside nature, but in such a way that he can become extremely violent. So this is introduced then from the beginning. That so there's this tendency to overstep boundaries by the means of reason, or by a misguided reason, etc. And it's I mean obviously Mephistopheles tries to provoke God here, and then we see in the next scene that we're going to read now with Morgan as Dr. Faust, Faust's despair, and then we move on to the wager. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So in this scene, Faust, I think, is extremely desperate
Okay.
and is suicidal. So he does want to, he is about to kill, and not just for anything personal, but because he's tried all his life to attain something that's impossible for a finite being, which is the infinite. He wanted to see what holds the world together in its innermost core, the substance, however you want to think of it. You know, one image that would symbolize what the meaning of the universe is. That's what he wanted to get to. And he's also, so this is again, he's his despair comes from centuries of study, but at the same time, also the promise of the Enlightenment again is basically also already out the window. So nothing can satisfy that hunger of man. But you have to wonder, though, where's this coming from? Is this perhaps coming from an attempt to try and be omniscient too, as to be a god himself, yourself? And then you run up against that wall. So should I have only you in the spotlight, Morgan, for that scene?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. So these are great notes for acting, I'd say. And can I? Do you think it's the energy is manic, or do you think it's broken, or is he depressed? Is he giving up, or is he still striving? I've studied
I
now.
I think it's manic.
Okay.
I think he's still striving. So I think it's not, oh, here I stand. I'm a poor fool, and I'm none the wiser than before.
Yeah.
He's here I stand. You know, there's I have studied all of this, and I'm running up against this wall, this brick wall that I cannot get beyond. And I want to be omniscient. I want to own this knowledge. He really wants. It's almost that's how I read it. It's aggressive.
This is Johannes. I have to say, this was my instinct with the scene, and Ollie will probably remember that I was arguing with the director over this. We had a brilliant director, I'm very fond of her, but we were
Yeah.
this exact debate. Ollie, do you remember this?
Yes, I do. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, good. So yeah,
Okay.
it's on my side.
I'm on your
A
side.
diplomatic answer from me.
Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll remove us. 1 second. Off you go.
I study now, to my regret, philosophy, law, medicine, and what is worst, theology, from end to end with diligence. Yet here I am, a wretched fool, and still no wiser than before. I've become master and doctor as well, and for nearly 10 years I have led my young students a merry chase, up, down, and every which way, and find we can't have certitude. This is too much for the heart to bear. I well may know more than all those dullards, those doctors, teachers, officials, and priests. Be unbothered by scruples or doubts, and fear neither hell nor its devils. But I get no joy from anything, either. Know nothing that I think worthwhile. and don't imagine that what I teach could better mankind or make it godly. Then, too, I don't have land or money or any splendid worldly honours. No dog would want to linger on like this. That is why I've turned to magic, in hope that with the help of spirit power I might solve many mysteries, so that I need no longer toil and sweat to speak of what I do not know, can learn what, deep within it, binds the universe together, may contemplate all seminal forces, and be done with fiddling empty words.
That's excellent. Okay. I'll bring Oliver back and myself briefly.
Great.
This is how I would have envisioned it entirely.
Yeah, that's the okay. Good, got the vibe. Yes.
That was great. That was great.
You have a similar acting voice, I have to say, as Richard E. Grant in Withnail and I. So I was reminded, I feel unusual. These aren't road accidents. They're throwing themselves gladly into the road.
Probably some sort of mimesis taking place there.
No, it's excellent. Yeah, because he is, I think he is angry. He's devastated and he's full of rage because he demands something, right? And he's not. So there's a bit of despair in the air. But if he's just despairing, why would he continue? He would just give up. I think you brought that out really well. I very much enjoyed this.
And it does work like dramaturgically as well. You see how primed he is for Mephistopheles' intervention, right?
Yeah.
He's like the perfect material for Mephistopheles to for God and Mephistopheles, having just heard that between God and Mephistopheles, to then see him in this condition is like, dramaturgically as an audience, just thinking of him as a piece of theatre for now, you're going, oh, lovely. Can't wait to see how this car crash happens.
This car crash. Yeah, he's ready for the spirit that negates, because the negation is the fuel and the engine that he longs for. that if he can wrestle with it, if he can just manage it, or if he can face up to a spirit that continuously negates, then he is something that goads him. That's a sting for its existence, to continue to strive for something new and to try and find that which holds together the world in its innermost. But so now going into character, what was that like, Morgan?
It was great to have that note before, because I think that's my instinct with the scene. And we've recorded a version of this and we sent it to you, and I mean it was close up, and in a way the bounds of a close up are in some ways you need to bring a performance in. It doesn't work out. So there's the technical parameters, but theatrically I definitely felt that. I feel this energy from him at the beginning. He's striving still, right? But nothing is working, and he's going to try this, and then it kind of. So I enjoyed that energy. I mean, he's an absolutely fascinating character to play. If we did this play every night for like 3 months, can you imagine the kind of epiphanies you would have as an actor? Because you find that on stage every night when you're doing a performance, you say a line and you hear it it's me. This is what's going on. And with something so rich and complex as Faust, that's going to be like one of the most profound experiences you could have intellectually. You can, because this text and this play is like that. This poem is like, you open it up, you're like, oh, that's what that means. That's what's going on. It's amazing. It's huge. So
you mentioned on Friday during our podcast recording that you whether I'd agree, but I think you would agree with that too, that Faust might be the most complex, if not, maybe not the most complex, one of the most complex characters in theatre history.
Yeah. I mean, haven't obviously read every play, obviously, and I'm probably not one of the great. I read a lot of plays, but I can't. And Ollie's read more plays than me, I'd say. But I can't think anyone who's even close to him. But Hamlet, you think of some of the Greek characters; they're big characters in brilliant situations, but in terms of complex and rich intellectual depth, it's hard to find someone like this, really, isn't it? And Ollie, can you think of anyone
Is
even
it?
close?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the closest thing is Hamlet, isn't it? The one of
Hamlet,
those
yeah.
figures that seem to stand at the seem to encompass so many different strands of philosophy and point to new ones as well. They sort of stand at this the apex of modernity, as just as you were saying again on Friday, Johannes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just like I mean, doing it again and having a conversation with you on Friday makes me realize that we barely scratched the surface with this whole text, you know, and you could to do a full production of it would be amazing.
Yeah.
But you'd need a bloody long time to properly get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. 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 And you need 100 actors and a
Yeah.
lot of money. It was done once. Peter Stein did it
Yeah,
once.
yeah.
The whole
And
thing.
monkeys.
And Helen of Troy.
Yeah.
You know, the other character, and I don't understand him, but Harold Bloom says that Falstaff in Shakespeare, he always puts Falstaff and Hamlet as the two great theatrical characters. But I honestly can't understand Falstaff. So I think I'll learn that as I get older, what the hell he's talking about.
So now we introduce Mephistopheles again.
Yes. Do we do we do the little bit? Have you got the bit before are we starting with Faust on its own, Morgan?
Yeah, where are we? Where are we at? We're on page. I've got it
I
on. I've
haven't
got
got the
the
page,
actual.
Lines.
I've just got that document. Do you
Uh,
do you want to do the spell bit before, or do you want
is it useful for Johannes to have that? I don't know. I can do it if he wants.
Feel free to, yeah. Why not?
if you don't mind, I reckon that but you shall hear me cast a stronger spell. Should we go from there?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'm just. It's not. It's after the salamander. What's all the noise
Yeah,
say? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go then.
Okay, let's just go for that and see where it takes
Yeah, yeah.
us.
So
Okay.
Faust is no longer as desperate. He's been to, the Easter Sunday stroll. He's seen again at least the social significance of Christianity. He's even heard the choir sing, but he doesn't. Allein mir fehlt der Glaube, he says. Right? Unfortunately, I lack faith. I hear the message, but I lack the faith. So he does not believe. So okay, this is the moment when it should become clear that this is not sort of any sort of a Christian play. And Mephistopheles, I think, is introduced specifically to goad Faust, who is not just one character, but is, symbolically speaking, an entire epoch, is an age. To shoot that spirit into modernity. And that's what Mephistopheles is tasked to do. And Faust is all too ready for it because anything that was done before has led him to that despair that you just expressed, Morgan. And everything has run its course. Think of our time where everything has run its course. Everything is bloody over.
Right.
We can all become trad caths. Okay, we talked about this on Friday. We can all be in a metaphysical supermarket and run around and say, I pick this and this and this. Or we just accept everything has run its course. And how does this play out? This is now, I'm the spirit that negates. Everything is going to be negated. You have to take this extremely seriously, I think. That full negation. Accelerationism doesn't even come close enough. So, but the stage is yours. I'll remove myself, and I very much look forward to this.
Mm. But you shall hear me cast a stronger spell. Fellow, if you be a fugitive from hell, behold the sign before which incline the legions of darkness. It starts to swell. Its hairs on end. Being damned and reprobate, can you read this token? Him that never was create, him whose name must not be spoken, who pervades the universe through trance pierced by lance accursed, driven back of the stove by the spell. dilating to elephant size, filling every bit of space. It's now about to melt away as mist. Stop ascending to the ceiling! Lie down at your master's feet! Now you know I make no empty threats. I can scorch you with sacred fire. Do not wait until you see the glowing light of the Trinity. Do not wait until you see the mightiest of all my arts.
What's all this noise? Sir, how can I be of service?
So that is what was hidden in the poodle. A wandering scholar. The case is amusing.
My compliments to your learning, sir. You made me sweat profusely.
What is your name?
That seems a petty question from one who's so scornful of the word, and who, aloof from mere appearances, only aspires to plumb the depths of essence.
The essence of such as you, good sir, can usually be inferred from names that, like Lord of Flies, Destroyer, Liar, reveal it all too plainly. But still I ask, who are you?
A part of that force which, always willing evil, always produces good.
That is a riddle. What does it mean?
I am the spirit of eternal negation. And rightly so, since all that gains existence is only fit to be destroyed. That's why it would be best if nothing ever got created. Accordingly, my essence is what you call sin, destruction, or, to speak plainly, evil.
You call yourself a part, yet stand before me whole.
I only speak the sober truth. You mortals, microscopic fools, may like to think of yourself as complete, but I am a part of the part that at the start was all. Part of the darkness that gave birth to light, proud light, that now contests the senior rank of Mother Night, disputes her right to space, yet it does not succeed, however much it strives, because it can't escape material fetters. Light emanates from matter, lends it beauty, but matter checks the course of light, and so I hope it won't be long before they both have been annihilated.
Now I see your meritorious function. You can't achieve wholesale destruction, and so you started out at retail.
And to be candid, the business doesn't thrive. This awkward world, this something which confronts as foe my nothing, despite all efforts up to now, I failed to get the better of it. In spite of tempest, earthquake, wave, and fire, ocean and land, unperturbed. And as for that stupid stuff, the spawn of beast and man, there's no way to make inroads on it. To think how many I've already buried, yet fresh young blood still keeps on circulating, on and on. It could make anyone see red. From air, from water, and from earth, a myriad of germs crawl forth in dryness, moisture, heat, or cold. If I'd not kept fire for myself, there would be nothing I could call my own.
And so you raise your frigid fist, clenched in futile diabolic malice, against the power of ever-stirring beneficent creativity. You would do well, strange son of chaos, to try some other enterprise.
We'll really have to give this some thought. Let's talk about it more at our next meeting. May I now assume I am now excused?
I don't see why you ask permission. Now that I've made your acquaintance, you may pay me a visit whenever you wish. The window's here, and here the door. The flue would suit you quite as well.
There's a confession I must make. A little obstacle prevents my walking out. The incubus foot on the sill of your door.
You are distressed by the pentagram. Well, tell me then, you son of hell, how you got in while the subject to its spell, and how a spirit such as you was tricked.
Look carefully, you'll find it badly drawn. One point, the one that faces outward, is, as you see, not completely closed.
That is indeed a lucky chance, and so you claim you are my prisoner. This is a triumph that was not intended.
The poodle noticed nothing when it bounded in, but now the situation's changed. The demon's caught inside your house.
Why don't you go through the window, then?
For demons and for spectres, there's a rule. Where they've got in is where they must go out. The former's up to us, the latter's not in our control.
So even hell is bound by laws. I like your implications that one could safely make contracts with you gentlemen.
Boys, dear boys, we're the end of an age.
Very fun.
Ah, excellent. I can't say anything.
I'd say it's
You
weird.
should say something. Yeah, you've
Like,
just come
okay,
back into.
I remember when we were working on this, I remember reading that Goethe was interested in the problem of how to present the devil for his time, right? Because it's already like a sort of silly thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so that it feels like he's chosen, this might be wrong, it's something that would be interesting to explore, but just for my feeling from the text is that he has gone he's on the edge of some comedy there, right? Mephistopheles is it seems to be introduced in this scene as with a bit of nod, a little bit of a nod and a wink to the audience, like he's kind of almost a jester figure. It
Yeah.
seems like in some lines, and I remember you said that even in the original German has a sort of jolly rolling feel to it. Um, so I was sort of leaning into that definitely in the performance that we did last year. I think someone who saw it said that my Mephistopheles was like a sort of used car, used car salesman as the devil sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? That kind of like slightly greasy, sort of cheeky, cheeky sort of vibe, which yeah, because as an actor, you have the same problem that Goethe had of how do you present like an actual devil in this day and age. So that I feel like that's how I've got around it at the moment. And it feels like, and this is, it was interesting. I felt on the actual reading when we presented it in front of an audience, the relationship with the audience felt very close. There's lots of asides, and it feels like they are kind of with Mephistopheles' journey as much, if not more so, than as with Faust's. That's the feeling of performance.
Yeah. Morgan.
Yeah, I don't know what to add really. I think the gags are there's quite a few gags about like the coming in. Can you come? You know that. And I'm looking at another scene now. There's a gag later on when you say you must say it three times to let me in.
Yeah.
Us is like, oh, come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
there's all the so, but I suppose that's good theatrical kind of creation in a way. You kind of get some gags in there. Audiences like gags. I don't know if Goethe was thinking about that. Probably was, I
Yeah,
suppose.
of course. Yeah, he was a theater director himself.
Yeah. So, but no, one of the things I've found quite interesting with Faust was how much of is that where are these two separate? At times I couldn't. There's one scene in the play in which Mephistopheles says, "Follow me," and kind of copy what I do, and he starts kind of fighting people. And Faust in it, but there's this very odd scene where Faust is kind of doing things. Do you remember this? That with along with Mephistopheles,
In the bar,
it's
is
in
that
a
when
bar,
they go to
Yeah.
the tavern sort of
Our
and
thing?
it's
Yeah.
like.
Auerbach's Keller. Auerbach's cellar in Leipzig.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it feels like, and I remember doing it and I remember during the performance in the church, suddenly having this sort of odd moment where I felt like I was, we were the same person. This, yeah, that was an interesting thing.
Even
Yeah.
though in that scene it becomes clear that Faust cannot be so easily seduced by the low lives that they run into. So Mephistopheles will have to do better than
Mm.
just showing him the easy life of the drunks who want to get drunk and you know scream,
Yeah,
I guess. Uh, and so I don't know if they're the same, but you could say that Mephistopheles becomes a mirror for Faust, I think, and then reflects back something to Faust that he was looking for, a spirit that he understands. Right? Remember, he's in touch with the Earth spirit, and the Earth spirit is something that you could write an entire book just on who that's supposed to be. Uh, tells him, I am not akin to you. You need to look for another spirit. And that spirit is the spirit that eternally negates, to use your translation. The spirit that
Right.
negates.
Yeah.
And that's Mephistopheles. So I think they are separate, but there are moments when they really come together.
Yeah.
But then there's also again there's attraction, but there's also rejection again and again. But
Mm.
yeah, go on, Morgan.
Yeah, I was going to say that this is slightly another point, but I thought I'd get it in. Is that you before you sort of Goethe pilled me on Friday night or whatever, or uh, uh, I am so bound by like a Christian outlook, right? I'm not like a
Well, I'm
practice.
sorry then.
No, but I'm not a practicing Christian. But like, I think we all like there is kind of we are stuck within the kind of language of Christianity and the morality of
Yeah,
Christianity.
the shadow of the dead god continues to linger on
Yeah,
in the
it's
cave,
like
but
how we understand reality and narrative, and so I cannot help but like when I was in the play as Faust, the story of Gretchen was like this kind of story. I kept thinking, well, this the lesson of this play is that like all you have to do is marry the good Catholic girl and have a family, you know. And I kept thinking that was what it.
no,
That's what Faust should have done, you know. If only he
no,
stayed with
there's
Gretchen.
no should have. This is no. This is what he does. What he should have done.
Right.
That's
Well,
look.
what he does is what he should have done. Right, right, right.
Sorry. Yes. Yeah.
Get with Helena
Yeah.
Troy.
What?
But it's weird. I mean, it's interesting as like people who make theatre. Modern audiences do think in those terms. Modern audiences watch things and go, "Oh no, the character should have done that."
Oh God. Yeah, but
You know what I mean?
yeah, because we haven't we've gotten rid of like the Christian God, but we haven't gotten rid of Christian morality. And that play asks us to do that
Right.
decades before Nietzsche. But understanding that if we don't, then we end up where the world is, as Goethe and Nietzsche independently of each other say, we end up in a situation where we are each other's nurse and the world is become a hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where we nurse each other and make sure everyone's fine and no one's feelings are hurt, etc. You know all this stuff. I mean, you should know
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it.
Well, it's yeah. I'm not saying, and I felt like you got with Faust. I kept finding myself watching this kind of thing play out in front of me, and I mean, Ollie was as Mephistopheles is taking you on this journey, and you're sort of Faust is. It's kind of brilliantly fun. You're sort of following him, and he's saying, "Right, follow me. Come in here. We're going to go here now." And you sort of suddenly the monkey jumps out, or you're here. It's so a lot of the play I was observing, you know, I was observing what's this? Oh, I should do that. Oh, you know, so it's a fascinating piece. I could talk about this forever.
And that bit where Mephistopheles does seem to like articulate the spirit of negation and the darkness, and like, I always really liked that bit.
Yeah.
You know, as Morgan was saying, part of the fun of doing these readings is hearing the audience hear this text live, and you sort of learn what it means. And I was actually reading an article just earlier today about this group, this like online weird cult, the Ethelists. Have you heard of these guys?
No.
Ethelists, it's like life backwards, Ethel, and they are committed to like the destruction of all sentience. So they're against all creation. So they want to like kill
But
everything.
they should start with
It's a
themselves,
big, it's a big cult. Have a little go. There was some murders a few months ago performed by this cult.
Good. F
I was like,
oh,
oh
okay.
God, that is kind of the philosophy of Mephistopheles.
But you see what's so sinister about Mephistopheles is so the Knitzelvers, that's how this is called in the German,
Right.
this four-featured Iambic. Ich bin ein Teil von jener Kraft, die stets das Böse will und stets das Gute schafft. So it sounds very jolly in the German. But what he says very often is just downright evil.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's a nice or interesting deflection, I think, from a deviation from away from. So Mephistopheles is the character, as you say, who is the most sympathetic to the audience. That's the one who everyone, I think, will adore the most. You will go away if you have a charismatic actor on stage, and you will want to emulate Mephistopheles perhaps rather than Faust. Um,
They didn't have that problem, Johannes, on when we did the performance. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
but as you mentioned, if you could play this for 3 months in a row, I mean, think of who's a Faustian figure in our time. I always think of Mick Jagger, who's now 80 years old and who's been going for 60 years or so, singing almost every night of his life, I can't get no satisfaction. And yeah, and he's still barking it out like he did when he was 25. And yeah, so I think he is genuinely a Faustian figure who cannot get satisfaction and will not be satisfied by anything you throw at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bono,
Good, good
Nicholas.
gag from Nicholas. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, but he's oh God, Neoplatonist Christian. Okay, so the then next scene is the wager proper.
Yes, so
Is
this
that
is
correct?
quite
Yeah.
it's quite short, but yeah, this is the final one.
I'll remove myself. Thank you for that. And
These commissions don't dismay me. I can oblige you with such marvels. But friend, there also comes a time when we prefer to savor something good in peace and quiet.
If on a bed of sloth I ever lie contented, may I be done for then and there. If ever you, with lies and flattery, can lull me into self-complacency or dupe me with a life of pleasure, may that day be the last for me. This is my wager,
Here's my hand.
and mine again. If ever, if I should ever say to any moment, tarry, remain, you are so fair, then you may lay your fetters on me, then I will gladly be destroyed. Then they can toll the passing bell, your obligations then be ended, the clock may stop, its hand may fall, and time at last for me be over.
Consider well your words. Will not forget them.
all right.
Well done.
Thank you.
This I remember we had a nightmare trying to work out what this meant in rehearsal. You remember, Morgan?
Yeah, we got a different translation as well to this. So I
It was slightly
yeah,
different. I mean, it's basically similar, but like
very similar but slightly different. Yeah.
because we so as actors as well, we're kind of trained to think of objectives and super objectives and things like that, right? So um I remember feeling a little bit more secure with Mephistopheles when I realized, oh, his super objective for the whole play is to try and get Faust to savor something good in peace and quiet, to
Hmm.
show him something that will make him go, oh, tarry, stop, remain. Just in my head, that was like, oh, that makes sense as his through line, right? To speak in acting jargon. Um, I feel like you might disagree that that's Mephistopheles, but from situating myself in Mephistopheles' head as what is his motor that keeps him going,
Yeah.
that felt like the thing. Um, do you disagree with that?
No.
Okay, good.
Morgan, how's that
Good,
looking for you?
good, good. Yeah, I have many questions, but I am still trying. Yeah, it's so he is. Yeah, we spent ages with this one. We couldn't, like Ollie said, we
So,
couldn't even find it. We couldn't work out what exactly it meant. It meant that if I'm happy with life, I'm going to say turn around and go, I'm happy. You've won.
yeah. I wonder though if you read that or performed that a bit differently.
Yeah, go on, go on.
Um, because you reading this quite in a slow, is that the right word? So if I ever say if he's thinking about it,
Yeah.
but maybe he's manic again,
Okay.
but now in a co- completely in a different way, manic. So he was
Yeah.
manic depressed, let's say before, and now he's full of energy, full of life, and wants to throw himself into it. If ever I, it's a bum, 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 bum. So it reads like this in the German too. So here's my hand, Hand auf Hand, Handschlag, which is high five, high five, high five. So they're dancing and they're whirling up in the air, and it's extremely fast, almost like a machine gun. It comes out of him. He's awoken again, and he's saying. So it's precisely not, the modernity is so horrible because we can never find a moment of peace. No, the moment of peace is death. No stillness, no rest. That's when I want to die. I have work to do.
Yeah.
I have to organize the entire earth. This is my task. And hence, when he falls in love with Gretchen, which is part of the wager also, that he has to experience everything that's part of the human story, is not, even though he wants that moment to continue on, that's not part of the wager because that's outside of the bet. The bet is I have work to do. I can be in love with someone over here, but here there's work to do. And that I want to be restless. He's actually, he's the opposite because you can find it. This is how I used to read this scene my entire life, by the way.
Yeah.
Until going through this again for this course, and I thought, what if maybe because I read so much of the Futurists earlier this year and last year, and went to the Futurism exhibition in Rome. Maybe that had an impact on it, because when you read it actually very closely, he's making the bet. It's all his words, all Faust. None of it comes from Mephistopheles. It's all Faust, and Faust says, "I don't want to rest ever. That's when you can take me." Or if you can betray me with your lies and illusions. But I want to do important work. I don't want to become just a man of pleasure and cheap desire that gets satisfied and unsatisfied, etc. But
Yeah.
So yeah, go on.
That's great. This is great. This is the director I've always
You're
been
very
looking for.
very good director, Johannes. You should.
So we do that next year, yeah, both parts, yeah, in London, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm up for it. I mean that.
You
I'm
should
up for it.
you should come and direct us. We'd love
Be
it.
up for it. But yeah, let me have a go, and then I want to quickly show you the translation, the other one we did, just because there's reasons why we might have thought differently, and Sebastian might have thought differently when I read this text to you.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's have a go at it like that, yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing that with that energy, yeah.
Yeah.
So I remove myself again, yes?
Yeah.
1 second. I should have brought more wine. I only have half a bottle left. It's not enough. Go on.
These commissions don't dismay. Start again. These commissions don't dismay me. I can oblige you with such marvels. But friend, there also comes a time when we prefer to savor something good in peace and quiet.
If on a bed of sloth I ever lie contented, may I be done for then and there. If ever you, with lies and flattery, can lull me into self-complacency or dupe me with a life of pleasure, may that day be the last for me. This is my wager.
Here's my hand.
Mine again. If I should ever say to any moment, tarry, remain, you are so fair, then you may lay your fetters on me. Then I will gladly be destroyed. Then they can toll the passing bell. Your obligations then be ended. The clock may stop, its hand may fall, and time at last for me be over.
Consider well your words. We'll not forget them.
There we go.
Yeah.
Don't tempt me, Johannes. Do not tempt me. I want to go.
No, that's it. He's angry, but now he's energized again. He's looking forward to what's coming. He's finally found the spirit that is akin to him, and he's in touch with that spirit so immediately. And that gives him everything that he wants. And he's now the horizon of the future is opening up again. So he's not mincing his word. He's not thinking about it. It's all just flowing out in one go.
Brilliant.
So you read this really aggressively.
Oh, yeah, What's the original one like?
What the one I've got?
Yeah, not the original, the one we did.
This is from the 1980s. So Faust says in this one, "The day your flattering lies persuade me to think well of myself, the day that I become a slave to pleasures that degrade me, that day's my last. I'll be content to die. Is it a wager? Done, 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 and done. If ever, as time flows by us, I should say, this moment is so beautiful, let it stay. That is the moment when you will have won. For me, the passing bell can sound, and from my service you'll be free. For me, the clock will cease its round, and time exist no more for me." So that's quite similar, like the last bit, but the bits before that do feel more. They feel quite different to this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
How the question I was going to ask Johannes is how with the German language. I don't know much about the German language, but how is it difficult with an English text to capture this piece?
No, so look, if you're a word cell, as the internet people would say, where words are everything that matters, then yes, it is sometimes, but so Atkins's translation that I sent to Oliver, which I think he read now for this
Yeah,
evening for the most part.
Yeah, that's the
What
one we
what
did.
what I
Yeah.
think what Atkins does quite well is try and keep the rhythm of the verse, and sometimes you have to add something that isn't there, and then if you drill down into the specific meaning, maybe he adds an endless where it should only be infinite, and then you can be very philosophical about the difference between endless and infinite, etc. And that has its own significance. But we're now talking about acting this out on stage, performing this. And I think what if the spirit is captured by the translation, I think you would have to have one person, let's say, who's got some grounding in the original German, but then the translation almost doesn't matter as much. Um, but it all has to make sense though overall with what dramaturgically, to use that term that I would never use, Oliver used before, what comes next? What is that? What is that? What's the next scene? So if he's manic and desperate in the beginning, but now he's a manic character. Right? He wants something, he strives way beyond himself. So now he's manic in a energizing way, but also you could, in this extreme mania, you can almost say that that's also where he's becoming. That's why he's a dangerous character. Why his, why he will be also destructive as he is, etc. So maybe not. So I think if you do something in translation, you always need to look also at the original, whichever it is. If that's in acting, or if that's in, let's say you work on Sophocles, you should look at the Greek at least to, you know, some extent.
yeah,
For
yeah.
sure. Wonderful.
Wonderful. Thank you.
That was so fun.
Well, thank you both very much. So we have an idea
No,
for
pleasure.
for our project for next year then, for next
Yeah,
summer.
yeah, yeah. Part two.
No, all of it, 24 hours.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Part one and two. I mean, I'm completely up for that.
You too.
The full unedited
Yeah.
text.
Yeah. Or at least an abridged version of it, of 4 hours of first part and
Yeah.
second part. Who knows? But yeah, I'd be up for that. Great.
We could,
Amazing.
the only the difficult with these things. This is why me and Ollie have to just do stage readings, right? Is because the
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
it costs so much money to rehearse for
Yeah.
5 weeks or 6 weeks to have everyone full time. But when you can do the readings, if people are willing to accept that that's the limitation, we could just basically hire a warehouse for a day and
Yeah.
say we are going to be in here the whole day doing this, and you can kind of drop in, or
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
could do it.
Rather than have this on stage as a full performance, sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
it
just
would be nice to do a full performance, but it's just that we need to get the money to do it.
it's a way that it's a sort of hack that we've come up with doing these kind of stage readings to basically to do it without money, basically, but still have something of the experience of a performance and to have some, living exposure to these texts. Because
Yeah.
if they're not in performance, if they're not alive, then people just lose connection with them.
Yeah. Well, that's very, it's a noble project that you have.
Thank you.
And I think, especially with this text, it would actually work because
Yeah.
the actors of this insane project by Peter Stein 25 years ago to have the entire Faust in one go, which was 24 hours of performance. The actors were complaining, especially in the second Faust, that they weren't acting, that they were these are just metaphors. And
Yeah.
you
It
see,
does get more like that as it goes on, doesn't it?
yes, yes, yes.
It
And
gets
even
less
Faust,
psychological.
who's even Faust in the second part. So it just, but if it's basically about the ideas, fragmentary as they might be, then you a reading that's dramatic and intense and in a
Mm.
warehouse, which is a good setting for it, I think, where people can come in and sit around in a circle. That's, I think, maybe even better, especially for the second part.
I
Mm.
did actually see I think it was Marlowe's Faust, but do you know Punch Drunk, that company that does really
Yeah.
immersive performances? Um, you're kind of it's all quite fragmented, and as the audience, you just wander around and catch bits of different scenes. Anyway, in about 2006, I think, so they did a Faust in a warehouse in um, Limehouse or something like that, and it was absolutely incredible, actually. It was amazing. But I think, yeah, that wasn't Goethe's version. And I don't think they had
Others.
any text. It was one of those,
Ah,
it was
right.
a dance interpretation of
Yeah,
it, but it
yeah.
was it was great. And it was in Wapping. That was it. A warehouse in Wapping.
Whopping. We'll find a warehouse in Whopping then for next year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, we'd be so up for doing that. So we should talk more about that.
Well, we will. We shall. We must.
Ciao. Done, done, and done. That's our, we've made our wager.
Yes, but be careful. We will not forget. We
Yeah.
shall not rest. All right, boys, we're at the end of an age. We live in the land of weather forecasts and breakfast that sets. I've never understood that, what that means. Breakfast that
Is that with
sets
Nail and I?
in. Yeah.
That's with Nail and I. I've seen it, but I don't know it as well as some people know it.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks
A
for having
pleasure.
me.
Thank you for everyone for listening.
We look forward to, yeah, seeing it back and enjoy the course. I wish I was on it.
Next one.
Next one, next one.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
See you soon.
Totally. See you
Bye
guys.
bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.